The pressure-hoarding reason your own eardrums bury a warning your body already knows. And in 2014, on Russia's Yamal Peninsula, that same buried pressure ripped open the earth, punching a crater 200 feet wide into solid frozen ground. No bomb, no meteor, no drilling, just a hole waiting there like it had always been coming. Scientists are still arguing about what actually triggered it. And right now, under your own feet, the same silent buildup might already be happening. Think about your ears on a plane. Pressure builds invisibly, sealed behind a thin wall of tissue, until it either releases on its own or forces its way out with pain. Your body hoards that pressure until it can't anymore. The ground does the exact same thing. Under the frozen soil of the Arctic, gas builds for years, sealed under a lid of permafrost that's supposed to hold forever. Except forever is ending. Permafrost is warming, thinning, weakening, and what's trapped underneath doesn't wait politely. It doesn't ask. It detonates from the inside, and nobody sees it coming until the ground simply isn't there anymore. In July 2014, helicopter pilots flying over the Yamal Peninsula spotted something that shouldn't exist, a gaping black hole cut into the tundra. Its walls sheer ice, its rim thrown outward in giant frozen clumps like something had punched its way out from underneath. There was no meteor debris, no crater lip from an impact, no drilling rig, no mine, no explanation waiting on site. Researchers rappelled down into it and found smooth ice walls plunging 70 feet, with meltwater pooling at the bottom like the crater was already trying to erase itself. Whatever caused it happened fast, violently, and left almost no evidence behind, just a wound in the permafrost that hadn't been there the season before. The nearest theory, trapped gas, building under pressure for possibly decades, finally overwhelming the frozen cap above it and blowing outward in one single, silent, catastrophic release. But here's what unsettled scientists most. This wasn't an isolated event. This was the first confirmed sighting of something that, once they started looking, turned out to be happening again and again. Within 2 years, researchers using satellite imagery found over a dozen more of these craters scattered across the same frozen region, some already collapsed into lakes, their evidence swallowed by water before anyone could study them properly. That's the pattern interrupt nobody talks about. These craters don't stay craters. Many fill in, freeze over, or flood within 12 months, erasing themselves like the Earth doesn't want you finding proof. And when researchers pulled ice core samples from newer sites, some carried unexpected heat signatures and gas concentrations that didn't fully match the tidy, trapped methane explanation everyone had settled on. Something was releasing more violently, more unpredictably, than a simple gas pocket should. So what's actually happening underground? The leading theory involves methane hydrates, ice-like structures that trap gas molecules inside a lattice of frozen water, stable only at specific temperatures and pressures. As the Arctic warms faster than almost anywhere else on Earth, permafrost that's held for thousands of years starts thawing from below, destabilizing those hydrates. The methane doesn't just seep out gently. It can build in isolated pockets, pressurizing like a shaken can, until the frozen ceiling above simply fails all at once. But no scientist has ever recorded one of these blowouts in the act. Every crater discovered so far has already happened by the time anyone arrives, meaning the actual trigger moment. The precise physics of the failure remains reconstructed guesswork, not observed fact. Nearby, the Batagayka crater, nicknamed the Gateway to the Underworld by locals, tells a related story. A massive permafrost slump growing wider every year as ancient frozen ground gives way, releasing gases and organic material that had been sealed since before human civilization existed. These aren't freak one-off accidents. They're symptoms of frozen ground everywhere losing its grip. From Siberia to Alaska to parts of Canada, holding back pressure it was never designed to hold back this long. Here's the part that should sit uncomfortably with you. Permafrost isn't only a remote Arctic curiosity. It underlies roads, pipelines, entire towns built decades ago when the ground was assumed to be permanently solid. As it thaws, the same pressure release mechanism that carved these craters becomes a structural risk beneath infrastructure people rely on every day. Engineers are now quietly monitoring gas buildup near pipeline corridors in the far north, because a blowout under a populated area wouldn't look like a curiosity on a nature documentary. It would look like a disaster with no warning shot. And climate models suggest the conditions causing these events are accelerating, not slowing down. More thaw, more pressure, more of these silent hoarding pockets forming every single year across the same fragile frozen crust. Since that first crater in 2014, dozens more have surfaced across the Russian Arctic, some appearing in places with no prior warning signs at all, and scientists still can't reliably predict which patch of frozen ground will hold and which one will fail. So ask yourself this: if pressure can build silently under permafrost for years before the Earth finally gives way without warning, what happens when the same forces start acting on ground that was never supposed to thaw at all?